The story of Jay-Z begins in the Marcy Projects of Brooklyn, New York, where life was shaped by survival, ambition, and the realities of the streets. Growing up in an environment where opportunities were limited, Jay-Z learned early how to navigate challenges and think beyond his circumstances. Before music became his path to global success, he was deeply connected to the hustle culture of his environment. But even then, there was something different about him, a mindset that combined street awareness with vision and long-term thinking. Music eventually became that outlet. Influenced by the sounds and movements around him, Jay-Z began crafting lyrics that reflected both his experiences and his ambitions. His storytelling ability stood out, blending real-life narratives with confidence and intelligence. As he entered the music scene, he connected with artists like the Notorious B.I.G, whose presence in New York hip-hop helped define the era. This period marked the beginning of Jay-Z's rise, as he worked to establish his identity in a competitive industry. Rather than waiting for opportunities, he created his own lane, building his brand, releasing music independently, and laying the foundation for what would become one of the most powerful careers in hip-hop history. This was not just the beginning of an artist. It was the beginning of a mindset that would eventually turn music into business and ambition into legacy. As Jay-Z's influence grew, so did the level of competition around him. The hip-hop industry was evolving, and with that evolution came rivalries that would define an era. One of the most significant rivalries in Jay-Z's career came with Nas, a lyrical powerhouse whose style and storytelling commanded respect. Their back and forth became one of the most iconic lyrical competitions in hip-hop history, pushing both artists to elevate their craft. At the same time, Jay-Z found himself navigating an industry filled with rising stars and dominant voices, including DMX and later 50 Cent. Each artist brought a unique energy, creating an environment where staying at the top required constant evolution. Jay-Z's response to competition was not just lyrical, it was strategic. He expanded his sound, collaborated with diverse artists, and positioned himself not just as a rapper, but as a leader within the culture. Through every challenge, every rivalry, and every moment of pressure, he continued to build his reputation as one of the most consistent and intelligent figures in hip-hop. This phase of his career was not just about proving himself, it was about defining what longevity and dominance looked like in an ever-changing industry. As Jay-Z moved beyond the peak of his music career, he began transforming his influence into something even greater, an empire built on vision, strategy, and business intelligence. While continuing to release successful music, he expanded into ventures that redefined what it meant to be a hip-hop artist. From building companies to making strategic investments, Jay-Z positioned himself as a leader not just in music, but in business. Along the way, he collaborated with and influenced a new generation of artists, including Kanye West and Drake. These collaborations bridged different eras of hip-hop, showing how Jay-Z's impact extended far beyond his own success. His journey from the streets of Brooklyn to becoming a billionaire represents more than financial achievement. It reflects a shift in how artists can build power and ownership within the industry. Jay-Z's story is one of transformation. From hustle to strategy, from music to empire, he redefined what success looks like in hip-hop. Today, his legacy stands not only as one of the greatest rappers of all time, but as a blueprint for future generations looking to turn creativity into long-term impact. As time moved forward, the story of Jay-Z became more than just a journey of success. It became a blueprint for generational thinking, ownership, and long-term influence. What started in the Marcy Projects was no longer just about survival or even personal achievement. It had evolved into something far greater, a vision that extended beyond music, beyond business, and into the very structure of culture itself. Jay-Z's approach to success was never limited to the moment. From early in his career, he demonstrated an understanding that true power comes from ownership, from building systems, and from creating opportunities not just for himself, but for others. This mindset separated him from many of his peers and allowed him to transition from artist to executive, from performer to architect of influence. Throughout his journey, his collaborations and associations with artists like Kanye West and Drake became more than musical partnerships, they became bridges between generations. Kanye West brought innovation and creative risk-taking, pushing boundaries in production and artistry, while Drake introduced a new era of global connectivity, blending genres and reaching audiences on an unprecedented scale. Jay-Z stood at the intersection of these movements, not just participating, but guiding and influencing the direction of modern music. His presence connected the raw storytelling of earlier hip-hop eras with the polished, globally accessible sound of today. At the same time, his past rivalries with figures like Nas and interactions within a competitive industry shaped his understanding of resilience and adaptability. These experiences were not just moments of conflict, they were lessons that strengthened his position and refined his strategy. What truly defines Jay-Z's legacy, however, is his emphasis on ownership. In an industry where artists often struggled to control their work, he consistently pushed for independence, equity, and long-term value.
Sigzo Davi.